Hey, and welcome back to the Build It Basement. It's been a long time since I put a video out there, but I got a tasty tidbit for you. Building a Voron 2.4, it's my second one. It's gonna be an R2, tons of extras. Big shout out to my friend Kris over at KB-3D. So many extras in this build, it's gonna be the ultimate build. So without any further ado, let's get right into an unboxing. I'm gonna show you what's going into this thing. Yeah, let's just wing it. So to start this whole kit off, what we have is an LDO kit. It is the de facto best kit that you can get for a Voron printer in general, whether that be a 2.4, whether that be a 0.1, Trident, whatever you got. LDO makes some great motors, they make a great kit, and I quickly opened my box, but I haven't even dug into it. So let's start with the LDO box, getting that up here because it weighs about 45 pounds. But on top of that box, they got a couple of cool things. Well, actually, just maybe one cool thing that I'm going to show you that's going into this build. It makes this a little bit extra special. So, that's not very special. That's your heated bed panel, for you that don't know. This is special, however. This is not hugely special. This is not like the special, but it's pretty special. Not cheap special. It's like top of the line special. This is our Mandala bed. And what we got on this Mandala bed is magnets that are flush with the surface, okay? So not only is this bed ground down to 0.0025 mil, it is also going to be perfect flat because we're not throwing one of those dang magnets on here, because no matter how flat your build plate is, if you're putting a magnet on top of this, it's only going to be as flat as that last surface you put on this. So this will allow us to put our sheet metal directly on it, maybe a wham bam or something like that. I'm actually probably gonna use the LDO one that came with it for now, but this is going to be hella flat, very flat, 0.0025 with no magnet, so no additionals on there. So as part of this build, we're actually going to have to attach our heater onto that bed, which on the Voron kit, as I understand, if it's anything like my 0.1, came with it attached to it. So a little extra work there, but well worth it. All right, so what do we have here? This is some special stuff. It's kind of starting at the end and working our way forward here, but I am so excited. And these are some of the parts that came from Kris over at KB-3D. This is like the super special stuff. A little brainstorming with Kris, some ideas back and forth. But what do you think? Huh? So I got the Build It Basement side panels. So these are CO2 lasered in, and you're looking at it from the back side, so it's gonna be like that when you look at it once it's installed. But these are etched right into the plastic, so they're going to be on there. Possibly gonna do some side lighting in there. That's gonna be probably post build, because I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm gonna get that lighting into the side of the plexi, or actually this is acrylic, to get that backlighting effect. I get some ideas, but I don't want to hold up everything. So that is number one, and there are of course two of these, one for each side. And just to make sure they stay safe, I'm going to layer them back up like that, and I'm going to put them back on the other pieces so we can set these aside. Perfect. All right, another special, again, working towards the back to the front, winging things as I always do. Speaking of winging things, if you're into this type of content and you have any comments, do leave them. If I get comments about people wanting me to do these actually live, meaning live streaming with chat, more than happy to do that. Just gotta know it's what you want. I guess the only downside of that is I can't edit out any mess up I make, but in all honesty, I don't really edit much anyways, because I'd rather build and move on with my life. So these are my aluminum. Let's see exactly what they're called here. Let's go down to this and right here. These are also from KB-3D. These are ACM panels, which basically are aluminum on the outside with plastic in the middle. And what they do for me is they're going to stop our panels from flexing. So our top and bottom panels aren't going to droop and sag over time. They're going to hold up pretty well. And you ready for this? This is really cool. All right. Boom. Yeah. What do y'all think? Again, Kris. So Kris and I worked out, took about, I don't know, 6 or 7 too many emails to get the image we wanted to use on this. But again, CO2 laser etched into the black paint that's on the aluminum. So what you're seeing here is the raw aluminum underneath the black paint in the Voron graphic logo. It's the one there that has all the parts on it. So that's actually the back panel facing into the printer. It's gonna be pretty awesome. So other than that, this is actually stuff that came with the LDO kit. So we might wind up using some of it, who knows, you know, for fitting and stuff, but I really wanted to show that stuff off first since it was on top of everything. I'm gonna set this all aside. I'm going to be very especially careful with my custom parts as well as my build plate, which seems a little thin to me, but that'll help it heat up a little bit quicker, in all honesty. And as long as it's flat, it's flat. So I'm gonna set this aside as well. Heavy stuff, heavy stuff. All right, now the 45-pound box. Oh, gorilla, monkey, whatever in the room. The LDO kit in a box. So I did have a quick little questionnaire up there on the interwebs, on the YouTube channel, about what's stopping people from building printers. And there were 3 primary reasons. 1 is printed parts, 2 is cost, and 3 is finding time. So let's hit up number 3 on finding time. So you can self-source all your parts for your Voron build, and you know what? More power to you if you have time to do that. But I will tell you right now that you would probably spend between a week or 2 weeks finding parts and dealing with finding the right parts, getting them shipped to you, and then waiting for them to come, and then having parts come to you in the wrong order, and then not being able to do anything, and yeah, chasing your tail for a while. So number 1, if time is of the essence and you want to build a kit, build a project Voron printer, start with a good kit from a good manufacturer that's well respected within the community, like LDO. This is the R2 kit. It's brand new and it is in space gray, I believe. So let's jump right into this. But again, number 3, time. Start with a kit. It'll help you a lot. Fast forward the heck through these types of videos, but do watch the whole video. Stop at every little thing you can see, and then bookmark them, like them, all that type of stuff. Hint, hint. To help you during your build too. Really help you on your time. So let's get this open. I already sliced it. All about time, right? We gotta save some time. In terms of printed parts and money, we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through this unboxing. Because I got some info on that too, and I'll have more info as we progress through this build. So if you want to tune in for subsequent videos. So what do we got? We got a big pile of box. And inside that box, we got more box. So LDO, because they are so fancy, they've gone ahead and sold us. They didn't give us anything. They sold to us a little kit number here, which I assume is specific to my kit, kind of like a Voron serial, but Voron serial doesn't sound good. Don't make that. Anyways, a Voron serial number. This is your LDO kit number. So not the same thing. If you do want a Voron serial number, I can't say, now every time I say Voron serial, it makes me think I'm eating breakfast. But if you want a Voron serial number for the build that you have, you're going to have to submit a video, and we might do that. I've never submitted a video for my Voron builds. My serial numbers are 1 and 1. They're both mine, because everybody will tell you that you don't build a Voron, you build your Voron. So exciting, right? I hate salespeople. It kind of sounds salesy, but I love the people that say that stuff. So no harm, no foul, nothing like that. Everybody in the community is great. No one paid me to say that. True feeling. So anyways, they gave us that. Looks like there's some additional information on here. For some reason, there's a calendar for 2023. Take a look at that. Calendar for 2023. Huh. So we got a calendar for 2023. So again, with that time thing, if you don't have a lot of time to build your printer, you can actually mark off the days as you go, because your first printer you're probably not going to build in a day or two. It's probably going to take you the better part of 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. See how quickly you do it. You could pull an all-nighter, maybe do it in 2 or 3 days, but that's assuming you have all the parts built. So set that aside. I don't want to lose anything though, so let me put that calendar back in. I don't know what I'm going to do with the calendar, but let's put it back in there. It was nice of them to give it to us, or sell it to us, right? So that's right there. What is this? Power cord. So this is probably our standard NEMA power cord. Yep, right there, 3-prong. So we have our power, our neutral, and a ground on there. So the way it should be. Let's start with, why not, the Big Tree Tech Octopus. Very good board for our printer. Way overkill for some smaller printers, but this does offer us enough drivers and enough inputs and outputs on it to do plenty with our printer and then some. I have one of these boards. I have not used this board yet, but I do have one of these on a shelf. So if I fry it, I got a spare. Hopefully that doesn't come to that though. But very nice board nonetheless. And it comes with a USB card and a non-branded SD card. Those are very scary, by the way. But all we're going to really use that for is firmware. So, and some jumpers. Yeah, set that aside. We've got some, I don't even know what this stuff's called. I'll call it cable covering, chaseway, railway, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's a path to put your wires in that has little knockouts on it. So you can pull your wires out of it, and it keeps everything in organized fashion inside of it so you don't snag anything. All right. Power supply. So let's see, is she a Meanwell? Yep. So we got NW, a Meanwell power supply. Meanwell are the de facto power supply. This one is set from factory, and most of them are at 230 volts. So if you are in the United States, Canada, or any place else, that is a 110, 120, 150 volts, somewhere around that neighborhood. Voltage, you're gonna want to switch that like I just did. Now it says 115 on there. So that caused you a lot of headaches in the future. Also, just so you know, you have inputs, you have outputs on this, obviously. This little screw right here is an adjustment for the voltage. We'll possibly adjust the voltage slightly. I like to adjust it just slightly over the requested voltage here. And if I, yeah, let's see here what we're looking at here. Yeah. So if it's 24 volts, it does up to 8.8 amps. So we probably set it like 24.3, 24.4. Because what will happen is during a high current draw, which actually, you know, now I'm thinking about this bed on this printer is AC main, so it's not really that big of a deal. So we might leave it just around at 24. But if you had heavy load items on a power supply, if you kick it up just a little bit, and not a lot, I'm talking like maybe, you know, 2 to 5%, when those high current draws wind up on your power supply, it'll stop from dipping too low. It'll stop you from having a Say for instance a Raspberry Pi that says that it's throttled because the voltage is too low, because what it's getting off of the primary power supply is not enough, and anyways, a bunch of stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Little tidbit right there, huh? Okay, so what else we got? What do I want next? Electronics. All right, electronics box. What do we have in? We have some reflective tape. I'm going to assume that said reflective tape is to put around an inductive probe if you're using one. Maybe we're not using one. We'll find out. It also comes with a... What is this? Oh, this is a Cat 5, Cat 6, does it say? Does it matter? Probably not. This is a Ethernet RJ45 through jack, so it allows you to hook up a small RJ45 on the inside of the base of your printer, and then you hook it up from the outside. Now, if you don't run your printer on Ethernet, if you're doing it over Wi-Fi and you're printing large prints, and when I say large prints, large size files, so you know, prints that are 50, 60, 100, 200 megabytes, you're gonna notice a hell of a speed up if you do put yourself directly into blue line. So keep that in mind. Small, but something. We have our power socket with switch fused in the middle. I'm sure we'll go into that. We have an Omron. Yep. There is our Omron G3NB220B. So Omron makes really good stuff. And that right there is basically going to be our solid state relay for our bed. That's pretty much the only job of this. Now, one thing, and we'll get into it during the build, but one thing I will tell you is that when these things break, they break turned on. So that's why there's other protections you're gonna find. So don't bypass other protections. The thing is that if something breaks, you'll be safe, because break means bad, broken. Sometimes break means on bad. So some fun words there, huh? Let's see here. Look at that little guy. They give us a little heat sink. He's cute. They also gave us a DIN rail mount for our Omron here. I'm trying to remember how that goes. Yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it. Actually, it goes like that. We screw it on. All right, we also have a 32 gigabyte, a very big Kingston SD card. That's good. And we also have, which I guess I'll pop in one of my specialnesses, one of my ultimates here in a second. But this also came with our, what do they call this? This has a funky number. That's a Mini 12864, and what that basically is a screen with a reset button right here and a push knob that also jogs back and forth. You can actually control just about everything in your printer just by being able to push that knob in, jog it, push it, jog it. So basically click to enter, turn up, down, click to exit, click to move menu. So, and it came with the cable, it's got that there. But we're not going to be using that. Might use it for a minute or two to test it, but that's going to become a spare. And I'll show you why here in a second. Let's back away from the LDO kit for a second here. We'll leave it there, but this is not part of the kit. This is one of the ultimate extras that we're adding. Yeah, so this is the Wave Share, and here is one of those first things that we're adding. So the Wave Share is a AMOLED 5.5 HDMI screen. And it is a raw screen. It's about as raw as it can get. I'm gonna move off camera for a second real quick, but I'll be right back. So, haven't decided on part color yet. So I pretty much printed everything in 2 or 3 different colors. But, yeah. So, you got your screen, it's raw. You gotta put in something. So it winds up going into something like that. Yeah. So what this is this is a 100% touchscreen, organic light emitting diode, AMOLED screen that is going to be on our Voron, as opposed to the smaller click jog thing. And I'll be honest with you. I'll be 100% honest with you. The little joggy screen thing, for one, you're probably not going to use it that often because you're going to do most of your work on your computer. You're going to basically get into mainsail or fluid. You can do everything from that. But other than that, with that little screen right there, it's probably a little bit quicker to use. So because you can scroll through a menu, hit click, and scroll back and forth. With this, I'm going to be going. So Ultimate Printer, not necessarily ultimate in the sense of make it more functional, but make it a little bit cooler, right? What's wrong with being a little cool now and then? All right, so put that away, but I figured I would pull that out as we go, since we were going over a part that we're actually probably going to replace during this build. Yeah, I figured I got my special stuff down there and throw that on the floor, because I don't play basketball. All right, so electronics, is that what we just did? No, this is more electronics. That was 102, this is 202. Lots of electronics, all right. No, so here we have our stepper drivers. Those go along with that Big Tree Tech Octopus. These are TMC 2209s, so nothing wrong there. Great little stepper drivers. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8? Let's see, 3? No, 7. We don't need 8. 7. All right, we have, what is this? We have a clicky kit. So, man, I'm gonna give away all the good fun stuff right off the bat here, but I don't wanna make this a really long video, just kind of a long video. This is a clicky kit. So what this would do is allows you to get rid of using your inductive probe if you choose to. I don't know if this comes with the inductive probe as well. We'll find out, right? But yeah, it allows you to do a clicky, which basically is a micro switch mounted directly or mounted onto the tool head. And it uses that as opposed to an inductive switch to do your quad gantry leveling and some other things as well. So came with that kit. It also is coming with an XY end stop PCB, a breakout PCB, a Z end stop, a LED junction, Octopus power adapter PCB, tool head PCB. Basically a bunch of pre-made PCBs that I have mixed emotions about, but I understand. What a PCB, or what a PCB specifically for a printer does for you, is it allows you to have one connection come into, say, the print head, and then have multiple breakouts to go out to that, so you don't have so many individual wires coming in. Now, that being said, I have trouble wrapping my head around how having this stuff doesn't give you additional points of failure, because now you've got a wire that's going to a connection point, that's going into a socket, that's soldered to a board, that's going over to another socket that's soldered to a board, and then out on another wire that has a plug on it, and out to the actual device it's controlling. It's adding at least 4 additional points of failure for every single connection, and not substantial, but a little bit of additional weight too. But these are not with the XY though. Firm believer in that. So I go both ways with these, honestly. Yeah, so our printer is going to be using some PCBs, but we'll see where we wind up with that. I'm gonna have to break out something special here again, because we're not going to be using a clicky probe on the ultimate build. We're going to be using something different. So, oh, got my XY. So these will become spare parts. Right here we got some terminal blocks. Just a bunch of terminal blocks. Basically, terminal block snaps in, and then wire coming to each side. That way you can disconnect it without having to wire go all the way through. So if you need to make a repair, it's a little easier. So terminal blocks. What's this right here? This is to print the Steffi. So all LDO kits come with a little build kit, I guess you call it. You know, you got the Voron block, you've got you know, your XYZ cubes, maybe you got a Shep cube or something like that. This is their own little version of it. That's kind of fun because it has additional parts in it, and they give you a little hanger so you can proudly show it off. What is that? I don't know what these are. I'm not embarrassed to say I don't know what these are, but they are little black pieces of plastic. this input shaper toolkit. So I'm guessing that they're giving you, and I'm gonna mess this up, what is it, an ADXL? I don't remember what the board number is, but what is this? This is caution sensitive. Yep. So they're giving you a board, an LDO branded board. They are giving you a multi-pin connector for that, and a ribbon cable and some screws. So, so you can do your input shaping, which we may or may not use this. I do have some of my own stuff for that, but we'll see. I know we're not going to use all of this no matter what, but that's really cool. The LDO is good. So what I'm finding so far is LTO not only is giving you what you need to build the printer, but they're giving you, you know, some extras. You know, nobody has to give you a PCB boards. Nobody has to give you a clicky kit. Nobody has to give you an input shaper. And I don't know why they're putting this in with the electronics, but I do know what this is for. So I didn't see anything about that in here. So I'll leave this out. I'm gonna leave this out of the electronics. I don't know why it's in the electronics. It will help me remind myself too to move back around that, because it does have to do with our printer. So I'm gonna grab something else. Something else is going into our ultimate kit that's not part of the LDO kit. Give me 1 second. Be right back. I don't want to bring up too much stuff here. I'll just bring up this. Yeah, this is enough. All right, I'll leave that right there. So with this printer, we are going to be building a tap probe. So Voron, about a month ago, I had a presentation about the Voron tap. And what the Voron tap is basically a unit that's built behind your tool head. It connects directly to the gantry, and basically if your tool head touches the surface, it taps it and it moves up. And that tap is a lot like a clicky, only it's built into the tool head, and it specifically is using the nozzle on your printer. So when you're using the nozzle of your printer, you're pretty much getting as precise as you can as to where that nozzle is. Now with a clicky, you're using the end of a switch, and the end of that switch is wherever the end of the switch is. With the tap, you're using the end of your nozzle, which is where the film is coming out. So there's no better thing than coming straight out of that, you know, that nozzle, knowing where that is. So we're going to be building a tap with this. I have parts across the room. That's just one part. This is a little linear rail that we're going to be using. This is the Octo tap. This right here is the 5 to 24 volt version. Again, wire. And right there. So basically this is an optical switch that's going to be used. And yeah, fun stuff. So we're not going to be using a clicky, and that's why I brought this up. We're going to be doing the tap. And I think I can jam that right in there. And back to KB-3D again. I know I've mentioned before, and I got absolutely no payment whatsoever, any credits, nothing other than what I think is a pretty solid relationship working with Kris in terms of him answering questions and shipping stuff out just like you would for any other customer. But all the little parts of these things are in these vials, and that's pretty neat because they're not floating in little bags. They're not going to be lost. You can open it up, take out what you need. You know, these, I think you can open it up. These inserts right here and here, and they're good. They're good threaded inserts. They have the proper ribbing on them. And he's got the magnets in there too. It looks like the magnets are actually stuck to the inserts, but they're not, because those are brass, and brass doesn't stick to magnets. But we're going to be doing the tap on this, and we're not using the clicky or an inductive probe. I did not see an inductive probe in here, so if you have your heart set on using an inductive probe, you're gonna have to source your own. All right, what's next? What's next? Cable kit. Let's look at that. So again, LDO giving you a little extra here. I have an Ethernet cable, X-stop cable, controller, Raspberry Pi USB cable. PCB fan cable, things like that. So basically a bunch of our smaller cables in here. Some of these are actually cables that wouldn't necessarily come. You'd have to, you know, I don't even know if they're on the list for things you source. Like an Ethernet cable, I don't think that's on the list. It's just something you're expected to have or go buy at Staples, Best Buy, or whatever, whatever your local place of purchasing is. Right here is our mains powering parts. Let's see, it says inlet terminal power, terminal to 24 volt controller cable, bed to earth ground cable. So a bunch of parts like that. Each of these are already crimped. I'll open this one up real quick. That has an eyelet on it, that has a connector on it, it's like a micro, and these actually have ferrule crimps on them, so very nice stuff here from LDO again. Quick tug on them, you know, they're good. It looks like there's two trains of thoughts on some of these types of crimps. One of them is that you tin your wire before you crimp them, and that makes it better. The other is that when you do that, the actual tin inside the, or lead or whatever, inside the solder crumbles over time. So I don't see those are tinned, and I don't have a feeling either way on that. Let's see, this is our main harness. It's our tool head cables. I call it the main harness, tool head cables. And this is breakout cables. This is for, let's see here, part fan, hot end fan XY. I do see something on here though that I didn't think was going to come with this kit, so I will point it out. It looks like you would not, I repeat, you would not have to source your own inductive probe. Excuse me, they have gone ahead and provide you a proximity switch or an inductive probe in there. So it looks like you have your own option if you buy the LDO kit to either use a clicky or to use the inductive probe. That is the stock. So nice, nice, nice. Another note on crimped wires from manufacturers. I don't care if it's LDO, whoever other manufacturer out there, there's always a chance that you're going to have to recrimp a wire, so you should definitely have those tools available to you. Again, I won't get too far in there, but these guys right here, Amazon, I'll put a link below. There's gonna be a couple links below. If you do buy something, I get a couple pennies, but you should definitely have yourself some crimps. And you can have probably the most all the tools that you need to do any one of these builds, you can get, including a soldering iron, under $100. So, and I would say out of all those tools, that $100 worth of tools are tools that you're going to use if you get into this hobby whatsoever, or any type of electronics hobby. Crimping wires, soldering irons, tweezers, some small hand tools, wire strippers, things like that. You probably have half of it anyways if you're watching this video. And if you don't have them, you probably want them. So, yeah. So LDO kit, again, giving you more than they have to. They go ahead and give you a stealth burner upgrade kit. If you're not aware, there's the afterburner, there's a stealth burner. The regular Voron 2.4, whether it be the R2 or the one previous to that, just the 2.4, you can build it with an afterburner. Afterburner is still in the manual as the primary tool head for this printer, but they're giving you the parts to go ahead and build the stealth burner if you'd like. So with those parts, they're giving you harness, they're giving you your blower fan, they're giving you screws, and they're giving you your NeoPixel for the lighting of that, some magnets, some connectors. Oh, and you're gonna have to crimp these ones. Yeah, so these are part of replacement for what you already have on that harness, because not everybody's gonna want to do this. So let's put that away, put that away, put this away. They even give you some PETG, and the reason why PETG, now that one could be a little bit confusing if you're just getting into this whole thing. Don't ever print your parts for your Voron with PETG unless you want to reprint them about 10, 12, maybe 20, 25 hours into printing, because they will fall apart, break, deform, do a bunch of bad stuff. We'll talk more about that later. But the reason why they're giving you this, if you notice, this is clear. So part of the stealth burner requires you to print a clear piece on the front of it with the Voron logo on it. And now it's time to show you some more Funsy Ultimate parts that we bought. So I'm gonna throw this back in the box. I'm actually gonna throw this in here too. These are your usual, they're a little funny looking actually. They're not black and they're not stainless. But this is a screw kit to build that stealth burner. It's interesting. Very heavy though. All right, so let's put that down and grab some more parts. Go back down. Do do do. Do 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 do. All right. So again, yours, everybody's buddy, Kris at KB-3D, have these LDO inserts. These are printed. Actually, these aren't printed. These are cut. And they are crystal clear, which is very difficult to get even if you're using PETG to print with, just because of layer lines and just the nature of FDM printing. Very cheap, very nice, very small thing that you can add to give it just a little bit more of a feel to it. And I got one more thing. It's across the room, so I'm just gonna tell you about it. I've gone ahead and I bought titanium screws for my stealth burner. Because I am putting a stealth burner on this, which if that wasn't a hint, I don't know what else could be. But replacing all the screws on this printer or this tool head with titanium versus the normal steel ones or stainless steel is going to save me about 80% of the weight just on the screws. Couple that with some modifications I made to some of the print parts they're functional, but they're not under stress to reduce the weight on those. And then what else was there? We'll get to it when we get to it, but basically I've reduced the weight of the print head substantially, which allows us to move a little bit quicker, have a little bit less ring, have a little bit better of a printer in the long run, all part of the ultimate build, right? So continue on this, because we gotta get through this. Long videos. Right here, chains and belts. Just gonna do a couple things here. They're giving you some Nevermore kit parts here. Not sure I'm going to be able to put in Nevermore on this. Talk about that in a minute. Belt loops, they are gates here. I don't know if these are gates. Yep, hold on. Let's see here, Gates power grip. So let's assume all these are nice Gates belts. Excuse me. It's dry. Rubber feet. Man. And there's our cable chain. It is JFLO. Not familiar with JFLO, but it's a 2-hole cable chain as opposed to the. Actually, that feels pretty good. That's nice. That's 2-hole as opposed to 3-hole. Some of the cheaper generic ones use a 3-hole on the end. Kind of how you can tell. Whereas the more expensive chains tend to have a 2-hole on them. That's actually a really nice chain. Yeah, so we've already looked at the bed. I already mentioned that I might not be able to do a Nevermore with this right off. And I also mentioned I can't close cardboard boxes. There we go. Let me tell you why I might not be able to do a Nevermore. And it has to do back to that beautiful bed that we looked at a minute ago. And I'm back down here again. I'm spending more time down here than I should, but we've got the Mandela matched height kinematic kit. So what this allows us to do is mount our beds without mounting our beds. Does that make sense? So it's not a floating bed per se, but it's about as close to floating as you can have while having something semi-rigid. And what this will allow us to do is have a bed that is less prone to warping, less prone to causing a ton of different types of issues. Definitely some added expense on this one, but it is one of the problems, and it's probably one of those things that the engineers, I'm going to call the guys that do the Voron printers engineers, even though some of them are not engineered by trade, probably look at and say, well, it might not be worth the cost. But I'm going ahead and doing it because I don't want to say I spared no expense, but cost wasn't that big of an issue. I got my other Voron, I love it. I want another one. I'm gonna make this one even better. And then maybe we'll upgrade the other one, right? So we have that kinematic kit. And then what we need to kind of make that work is there's a center brace. It's beautifully machined, by the way. right there. And this goes between your two front struts that go across that your bed mounts to. This gives you your center point mount. So you basically have your 3-point, to least amount of points that you can have and have a solid, base. So tripod. So we're mounting directly onto this with our kinematic system on the rails for the other ones. And then basically our bed on top of that. So again, some more extras. These are not part of the LDO kit. They will not come with your LDO kit. And if you're jumping around this video, you might want to watch the whole thing because, like I said, there's a lot of extras in this. All right. Now what? All right. Motors. This will be quick. LDO is known for their motors. So one big box of motors. They got a pancake in here. They got extensions. They got all the motors that we need. We got our Z drive, our X, our Y, and our stepper drive for our extruder. Yeah, good. Put that away. All right, this box says motion. Oh, I get it. First, I didn't get it. I was like, why is motion providing me with foam tape? But anyways, foam tape, not 3M, but probably work, right? Probably good stuff. 3mm, 1mm, some thin tape there. All right, and we've got a Bondtech kit. It looks like a real Bondtech kit. It does say LDO on it, but it has the Bondtech logo on it. So just for the use of those of you that don't know, Bondtech basically makes some of the best gears when it comes to extruders. They are very finely cut. The angles they use are sought after. So these are the best of the best. Let's see here. Yep. They're pre-putting thread locker on these set screws, which is another plus. These are our drive for our Z. Those are beautiful, actually. Huh. I mean, these are really nice. A lot of times what would happen with this is it gets cast pretty crappily, actually. And then it goes through a type of abrasive material to shine it up, make it look nice. And this doesn't have any potting or anything like that. It's just a really nice part. That's really nice. Let's see what else. Magnets, bearings, stuff like that. So all the motion parts we need are right there. Perfect. Rails. So linear rails. Rails are probably in the top 5 most important things for your whole printer build. You do not want to buy cheap rails. If you do buy cheap rails, if you self-source and you go to AliExpress or even Amazon or anything like that, buy double the amount of rails you think you're gonna need, because and then add that up and see how it compares to buying decent rails. Because if these aren't straight, if they don't have all their bearings in them, if the bearings are not the right size, if they're off by, we're talking about thousandths of an inch of a millimeter, it's even smaller, they're not going to function properly. These probably are clean. They probably have some lubrication in them. But as part of this, we're going ahead and we're going to clean these and re-lubricate them. I'm actually going to be using 2 different types of lubrications. I'm going to use one type of lubrication on the Z, the 4 linear rails that go up and down, and different type of lubrication on our X and Y, because those are moving a lot quicker than the Z does. So we'll get to that when we get to that, but all of our rails right there. Nice packaging too. Getting towards the bottom here. Hope you're enjoying the video. Hope you, if you are liking this type of stuff, you're gonna subscribe, like this, share it. We got DIN and some more of those cable covers. Let's see here. Fasteners, tools, missiles. Holy heavy. All right, we got some Bowden tube. We got some more tape. We got some zippy ties. We've got a pack of tools. So just quickly on tools real quick. Two things actually. One is the tools that they give you on these kits are probably good to use for this build. They might last you as spares for like doing tune-ups, tweaking, and just working on the printer, but don't expect them to last you forever. Usually they don't use very hard steel for these, so they will wear. And if you're using worn tools on your printer, you're going to wind up wearing the screws, stripping them out, and then you're going to be stuck drilling stuff out, which is more work than building it in the first place. Another thing is they're providing you in this kit with a tip for your soldering iron to do your heat inserts. I don't like these. I didn't know I didn't like these until I just realized the other day I don't like using this. I prefer just using a soldering iron that's got the tip knocked off of it because I can see things better. I don't know, maybe I'm cheap. I'm a cheap date. So okay, so we got that. And then we got a huge bag of screws and magnets. And well, that's interesting. Look at that. They're actually providing you with some, looks like some cast aluminum handles for the printer. Another extra. I don't even think handles are part of the original or part of the actual build. You can print handles. I think you're going to find that you're probably not going to move your 2.4 very often, but you could. You could. Oh, let's see here. Well, let me look at this. Bring this over here. And frame kit. Color right there. This is space gray. If you know what that is, look at an Apple device. Lots of padding. What they give us here? Oh, these are angles. Oh, so the angle corners are actually powder coated as well to match the actual frame. Usually these are just black, but they've gone the extra quarter mile. How about that? Beautiful color. Yep, so these have a metallic look to them. They're space gray. I would call this space gray. They are cut and then they are powder coated. So there is powder coating on all surfaces, and at least on this first piece I'm pulling out, I don't see any nicks or anything like that. So very nice LDO, good job. Put that back. Nope. Put that back. And this is one of those things where it doesn't really fit. Come on. There we go. All right. And I'll put that back in there because we're running out of room. I still have some stuff to show you guys. Actually, you know what? Time to show you one of the extras for the Ultimate kit here because it goes along with that frame. This is the lightest box of all of them. So, titanium backers. My mic has been messed up. Titanium backers. So, titanium backers have been a conversation for the past couple years when it comes to the printers, simply because your linear rails will expand and contract at different speed than your actual frame and your gantry parts. What these do is they help to even that out. These ones have been, I don't know if they've been acid. So they're colored with this nice fancy green, which I like. And it looks like they have an acid that's been applied to them too, to get them kind of this awesome looking coating, which kind of matches in the scheme of things with some of the parts I'm going to be using, because I do have some green going in this as well. So part of this Ultimate build is these titanium backers that we're going to, with titanium screws. Man, titanium screws are expensive. They're going into this kit to basically make everything nice and squared up and not moving when it shouldn't. So pretty cool. All right. Last, sorry if that was loud. Last and kind of least on this is the build plate that's coming with this. First thing that we see here is this, how would that be? Okay. Is a dual-sided textured PEI bed. It's actually got some weight to it, so it's got some heft to it. It's not thin metal. It's good. They do provide you with a 3M 300 LSE magnet for the bed as well. It's good up to, what is it, 120 or 130 degrees with a lot of use. And finally, the LDO print bed. So that's what's going to come with the kit. We got to recreate this, like I was talking about earlier, because like I said, theirs comes with the heater on it already. So heat's already on there. They already have heat's already on it. They already have their thermal fuse installed. It's 125 degrees Celsius, or like that. There's a thermistor. There's our wiring coming off from that. Now I did notice one thing, Chris, if you're watching. LDO is sending this out with a 600 watt. And the one I have is a 500 watt. Now, at first thought, I say, dang, it's not going to work as well. It's not going to heat up as quickly. But then, just like everything in my life, I think about it for 30 seconds. I'm like, well, wait a second. First of all, 600 watts is overkill. And I'm sure there's somebody out there, but I doubt there are many people out there that are heating up their bed at full power, without a modulation to that power. So basically that solid state relay we saw earlier modulates that power on and off. So you heat up the bed at a certain rate and then it holds the bed at a certain temperature. If you heat up the bed too quickly, meaning that you just jam it with juice, you're more apt to bend the bed and make things happen. That being said, what else I got here? We've got this, that, and the other thing. We'll talk about these couple of things right here. This might keep moving. We're going with the Rapido hot end on this. We also have hardened nozzles. We got the Logitech C920X camera. It's going to be in this. We have Ramalama's idlers that are going on this as well. What else is in this thing? I don't know. There's a ton. There really is. You know, it's a pretty cool printer. Look at this real quick. It's a pretty cool printer. If you're interested in all this type of stuff, I mean, stick around. We're pretty much going to tear this thing down, you know, from start to finish. Let's do this, do this, do this, do this. That's far enough. So there's our frame. Next build video, we're going to be building that frame. It should be a lot of fun, but you know, if you do like this type of video, if you like this type of content, if you're interested in this build, I suggest you do subscribe. I can't guarantee I'm gonna get the videos out twice a week or anything like that, but I'll get them out as soon as possible. This is not my gig. This is a side hobby, much like the printers themselves are. But feel free to ask questions, leave some comments. If you want to do some actual live streams, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that. They're fun to do. They just make the build slow down a little bit. But other than that, appreciate you watching, and I will see you soon.